up over it.
Speaking of bad refs, what'd LeBron even do?
There we go. Top story in the NBA last night. Lakers, Pistons. Lakers trailing midway through the third. LeBron James catching Isaiah Stewart with an elbow to the head while trying to box out. Stewart could not be contained. The guy's face was bloodied. He's just attack mode going after LeBron. Both guys ended up getting ejected. Lakers rallied from down 12 at that point to win the game, but the focus after, clearly, on the big scuffle.
Everyone in the league knows LeBron not a dirty guy. Accidentally hit him. As soon as he did it, he looked back at him and told him, "Oh, my bad, I didn't try to do it." And then he tried to, I don't know what he was trying to do, but I know nobody on our team, 1 through 15, was having it. You know, we're going to protect our brother. I've never, in 10 years, seen a player try to do that. Well, since I've been playing, I mean, obviously we've seen it before, but back in the day. But in recent basketball, like, it was uncalled for. You know, you got cut above your eye, accidental, like, you know, it wasn't on purpose. And, you know, we wasn't going to allow him to keep charging our brother like that. Like, I don't know what he was trying to do.
All right, Broussard, I'll start with you here. Do you think LeBron should be suspended for what happened last night, the elbow to Isaiah Stewart?
No, Jenna, I don't. Honestly, I believe that LeBron was just trying to get himself unlocked from Isaiah Stewart. Like, their arms were locked up. And he did it with force, don't get me wrong. But I think he was just trying to really get away from him and caught him, obviously, in the mouth and in the eye. That's what I think this is. Now, look, I get how somebody could look at that and say, oh, no, that was dirty, it was intentional. Here's why I give LeBron the benefit of the doubt. Because as AD said, he's never in his 19 years been viewed as a dirty player. Why start now against the Detroit Pistons? And then AD is absolutely right. After Stewart went to the ground, LeBron did go over there to be like, hey, you all right, my bad, well, apologize and whatever he was saying to him. And so I don't think LeBron had any ill intention. Now, I think that the flagrant 2, it's warranted, all right? I don't think he did it on purpose, but flagrant 2 is unnecessary and excessive force in a hit. So you can say it was excessive, I guess. I don't think you can argue that it wasn't. But the fact that they did give him a flagrant 2, automatic ejection, he missed this game for the most part. I think that's enough for something that wasn't done intentionally. As far as Isaiah Stewart, though, I think he needs to get at least 2 games. It's unfortunate. He gets hit. He's bloodied. He's probably getting stitches. And, you know, I get it. It's unfortunate. Now you're going to suspend him. But they have to send a message to Stewart and everybody in the league. This cannot be tolerated. You cannot escalate things like this. This could have really gotten ugly. Ironically, it happened to be in Detroit where we know the Malice of the Palace took place. But this could have really gotten ugly had he been able to get to LeBron or had he gone off on somebody else or maybe a Laker or somebody starts fighting with him because of this. So they've got to send a message. This will not be tolerated, Nick. I think Isaiah Stewart should get at least 2 games. LeBron shouldn't get anything.
Yeah, I can't remember a time I've seen a player that enraged, as just like wild-eyed angry as Isaiah Stewart was. We see what happened with LeBron, I don't want to say often, but we see it happen. And I kind of agree with you, Broussard. I think LeBron, because he had just gotten hit in the ribs, I think he was trying to get Isaiah Stewart. I don't think he was just trying to unlock his arm, but I don't think he was trying to get him in the face. So this is where I do think track record matters. LeBron's played 19 years in the league. Would you believe this was his first flagrant 2 ever? Because it is. This is the first time in LeBron's career he's gotten a flagrant 2 ejection. It's only the second ejection of his career. The previous one was because Kane Fitzgerald got his feelings hurt and LeBron yelled at him. So he's been ejected twice, only once for a physical act. Now, we've spent a few minutes on this. I understand the audience is saying you guys are bearing the lead. Yes, I know many of you did what I did, which is when you saw LeBron got ejected, you checked and said, oh, thank God. he got to the double-digit points. He just barely got to 10. So his record extends to 1,048 games. Jordan's still at 866. Second longest active, Kawhi Leonard, 175. So LeBron's record stays intact, thankfully. As far as the suspension goes, Wilds, I think track record matters. Here's the other thing that matters.
Yep.
You know who the Knicks or who the Lakers play next?
I know, go to the Garden.
At the Garden for the only time all year on national television. I think that's got to matter.
Yep.
It is a business after all. Oh, Nick, that's ridiculous. Treat LeBron the way you treat it. No, actually, you don't. You know how I know you don't treat LeBron the way you treat anybody else? By the fact that his entire team lined up like he was the king on Game of Thrones and they were the king's guard. Like everyone is like, okay, you're going to have to get through everyone before you get to LeBron. So, no, I think track record matters. I think who they're playing matters. And I do think, I agree with Broussard, that right after it happened, while the fact that LeBron went over to him, to me, indicates that I think he knew that he was going to catch him. I don't think he was trying to catch him in the face. For all those reasons, I don't think he will be suspended.
Okay. Here's the thing, though. Broussard, suppose you are commissioner of the NBA. And suppose I work for you and I am in charge of doling out suspensions. You make the final call, but I give my recommendation, and this is what it comes up. All right, we looked at all of the evidence. We're going to give Isaiah Stewart 2 games for escalating the situation and give LeBron 0 games. Even though Isaiah Stewart was bleeding profusely from the face and mouth, and the guy that did, so he gets suspended, but the guy that did it gets 0 because he doesn't have a track record of it. I just think that if oddly, and this is a really convoluted thing, but it makes sense, because Isaiah Stewart does deserve 2 games for escalating it, it's almost like the bar has been raised, and now you have to give LeBron 1. You can't get the guy that got hurt and is bleeding a mess. It's not just like a little cut. I don't remember seeing this much blood, and that matters. The optics of this matter. You can't give Isaiah 2 games and give LeBron 0. I don't know how, if you were the commissioner, Broussard, I don't know how you would be like, yep, that's a good idea.
You can because of what Isaiah Stewart did. I mean, this was ridiculous. I mean, guys have been hit before. Like Nick said, I don't recall myself ever seeing in my 26 years covering the NBA, ever seeing something like this outside of the brawl or the Malice at the Palace. And this, he tried to go through the tunnel afterwards. You just can't be doing that stuff. It's as simple as that. And I think Isaiah Stewart is trying, and I'm not mad at him for this, but, you know, he got into it with Blake Griffin earlier in the season and stood over Blake like, you know, an enforcer. I think Isaiah Stewart is that he wants that to be his role in the league, his niche. I'm an enforcer, Charles Barkley type. He's a good rebounder. He's a tough guy. I'm not mad at that. That's fine. We'll see if it works in today's NBA. But you can't, there's a limit to how far you need to go. And he went way too far. It could have gotten out of hand.
And it also seemed like he was not nearly as angry right after it happened. It wasn't until he tasted his own blood or felt his own blood.
Maybe saw the blood,
that he really flipped out. I want to say one other thing, because a couple weeks ago on the show, when Jokic shoved Markieff Morris, I said the best players in the league, MVPs, don't do that. I stand by that entirely. I do not look at what LeBron did anything close to the intentional overt act of what Jokic did, even though it was maybe in the moment more damaging. And I see what Wilds is saying. I don't think a suspension for LeBron would be outrageous. I think 1 game is, you know, obviously the most they would give him. I would understand it. But because of the track record and because you're at MSG on national TV, I think tie goes to the king on this one, Jenna.
All right, we'll see what the league decides to do.